Hi, this is Digital Resonance. Welcome back to part 2 of our tutorial. In the last part we made a break in BeatMaker, and now we're transporting it into Auria to make it just sound a little bit better, just to process it all together, and yeah, just to make it sound a little bit better. So let's load up Auria. First of all, I better start recording the audio. Okay, so we've got Auria loaded up. In track 1 we've got the full break that we recorded in BeatMaker, and then in the other tracks after that, here we've got the kick, here we have kick 2, snare 1, snare 2, the hats, extra hats, and finally the amen. In this very last track we've got the full amen, but I don't suppose we'll have time to get round to using that or playing with it. So first things first, I've already been through the beat, I've already sorted it all out, so it will just help make the tutorial a bit quicker. Basically just going to run through each individual sound and show you the processing and why I've processed it that way. Let's listen to the original break. That's the original break, so we'll mute that out, and now we'll listen to all our parts. And solo that. Now you can hear a little bit of reverb going on already. I haven't switched that off, but most of the processing's off. So anyway, let's solo kick drum number 1, and I'll turn on its processing and show you what I've done. So here we've got kick 1. Now it's quite a noisy kick, it's got quite a long release on it as well. It's not very important that we retain a lot of the bottom end in it either, as we're going to layer over it. So what I've done is I've used the gate, which is this part, the gate expander. I've used the equalizer, and I've used the compressor. So let me turn these off and run you through them. So we turn on the gate. Now the gate has dulled the kick drum right down, but it's taken out a lot of the dirt that you could hear otherwise. As you can hear, there's, I'll turn it on. Now it's kind of squashed it a fair bit. It seems to have affected the attack of the kick, but we can compensate with the compressor later on with that. So I've added a bit of EQ just to soften the kick up. Again, we don't need it to be too heavy, and then just a bit of compression to bring the attack back in. Now as you can hear, if I push this right up, you can really hear the attack coming back in. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we'll just keep it around there. We'll have to play the whole beat together to tune it right in, but that'll do for now. So that's kick drum 1. Now I'm going to freeze the tracks as I go because I'm recording. I don't want anything to overload and stop working, so let's just freeze kick drum 1 quickly. Okay, so move on to kick drum 2. Let's solo that out. Now kick drum 2 has got plenty of noise in it, so that's all got to come out. So I've used the EQ. Again, here it is plain. Here it is EQ'd. Right. Now I've also EQ'd out a lot of everything else by EQing out that noise, but it doesn't really matter too much as the beat's going to get layered and all the rest of it, and it does actually sound better in the mix. I also added a little bit of compression just to help with the shape of the kick plate. As you can, just a little bit of thump comes back into it, so I'll bypass it. It's a lot noisier. unbypassed. It's a lot duller, but you can still hear it. So it all might sound a bit strange at the moment, but it will all sound better in the end as you hear it. So here's snare drum 1. Now it's got a little bit of convolution reverb. Let me unfreeze it. Sorry about that. Okay, I'll turn off the processing, all of it. Just check that I'm still recording. It stopped again. Oh no, it hasn't stopped. No, we're alright. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so now the kick drum. The snare drum rather. So now with the snare, what I found was it was a bit dull compared to the other snare, and it had a little bit too much bottom end in it as well. So what I did, I've EQ'd out some of the bottom, around 70 Hertz, and I've also brightened it up by EQing around 9400 Hertz, and then the compressor just to bring down the volume again. So let's play a second. Let me, in fact, we haven't finished yet. Also added some reverb and a little bit of distortion just to brighten it right up. Not going to go into too much detail about the distortion. It's just a little bit. I EQ'd the band 1 present slightly, up to about 3 dB, just again so it's a little bit brighter. As you can hear, when I turn it on, the brightness comes out, and then a little bit of reverb just to give it a little sound. But what I need to do is freeze that sample. If I don't freeze it, it's starting to cause me problems with the recording. Okay, so that was snare drum 1. Moving on to snare drum 2 quickly. Now, snare drum 2, that was already very bright, so I didn't have to do much in the way of EQing, apart from I thought it was lacking a little bit in the bottom end compared to the other snare drum. So what I did is EQ'd it, gated it a little bit because it was the release was a little bit too long, I thought, and then compression just to match the overall sound of the 2 snares. So I played the 2 together. And I'll turn on the reverb for this one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze that track as well. Hold on, wrong track. Freeze snare 2. Okay, moving on to the hats. Now with the hats again, what I did is EQ'd them just to match the other sounds, just to help them fit in a little bit with the snare and the kick drum, a little bit of compression, and just again a little bit of the gate, just to help with matching the overall sound of everything. So rather than go through any more individually, because there's only the aim and left, I'll play the actual beat. Now, if I turn on all the processing, let's turn on the aiming as well. Right, so let's do an A and B between the original and what we've got now. So here's the original before we run it through auria. And this is what we've got now. So as you can hear, it sounds a little bit more together, a little bit cleaner, and overall more usable than what we had before. Now, you could go to town and you could spend hours here in auria running different plugins, actually getting the beat to sound completely unique and different by layering it and basically by using these processes over and over again. But I thought for us, we don't know where we're going without a tune yet, so the best thing to do was just to get the breaks just to sound a little bit better together. We're going to take this back into BeatMaker, and perhaps we'll make a sound in the next one and start getting the tune together. But for now, I think that's about it with this one. I'll play it again. Right, here's the original. And here's the process one. Now, personally, I think that sounds a little bit better. It's not perfect, but it's definitely usable, and we can take that into BeatMaker and carry on with our tunes. So we'll leave that there, and I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.